Paul McCartney is making headlines with some of his recent comments on a number of topics. Among the most controversial, the 79-year-old legend seemed to take a shot at the Rolling Stones. In a profile by David Remnick in The New Yorker, Remnick writes, quote, "McCartney isn't above suggesting that the Beatles work from a broader range of musical languages than their peers, not least the Rolling Stones. I'm not sure I should say it, but they're a blues cover band. That's sort of what the Stones are," he told me. "I think our net was cast a bit wider than theirs." Joining me now to discuss this wonderful piece is David Remnick, the editor of The New Yorker. David, it's an honor to get to speak to you about this. The piece is wonderful, and I have a lot of questions for you. But first, let me just ask about that controversial moment where Paul McCartney chose to throw down with you on the Rolling Stones. It almost seemed as if you were surprised he said it.
I was a little bit surprised, and I think Paul was a little bit surprised. I think, look, after all these years, the Beatles have been broken up, after all, for a half a century, and sadly, John is gone and George is gone. But there's a little bit of a competitive edge, and I think that Paul feels that the Stones, a group that he loved and they were contemporaries, were basically and are basically a blues band, which is probably simplifying matters a little bit, but that's true. That's what the Stones did. They took black music, Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry, and they played it and became famous on it and then elaborated on it. The Beatles were working from a different foundation, not only that kind of music, R&B and rock and roll, but also English music halls music and skiffle and Rodgers and Hart and Rodgers and Hammerstein all figure into the Beatles over time. So they were quite different, and I think Paul, even after all these years, is a little bit competitive in terms of legacy.
It seemed like a lot competitive because people always say Beatles or Stones, the great feud, and his answer was basically, really? Really? Are you even going to discuss this?
Yeah, well, I let him speak for himself, but there is that little bit of an edge, but I think it's mainly in good fun. Look, this is a guy who's 79 and who's still touring and doing 3-hour concerts when COVID allows, obviously, and he still feels it, and he's become the kind of conservator of Beatles history, and as a result, he's still trying to straighten out, in his view, all kinds of questions, including who broke up the Beatles.
Well, look, that's what struck me most about this entire piece. If there's anyone on earth who has nothing to prove, it's Paul McCartney. Yet, it seems as he was speaking to you and as he's been speaking publicly the last few weeks and months, he does have stuff he wants to prove or get off his chest. Let me just play for you this interview with BBC4 where he said something he sort of alluded to before, but he was talking about how the Beatles broke up. Listen.
I'm not the person who instigated the split.
You brought the lawyers in there, didn't you?
Oh, no. John walked into the room one day and said, "I'm leaving the Beatles." And he said, "It's quite thrilling. It's rather like a divorce." And then we were left to pick up the pieces. But I didn't instigate the split. That was our Johnny.
Okay, what's going on there?
Well, what's going on there is that he's being accurate. And the Beatles were breaking up in little bits and little cracks and fissures for a good while. Ever since Brian Epstein died, certainly, their manager. George Harrison wanted to get more songs on albums. Even Ringo walked out during the White Album sessions, as you might remember. But finally, it was John in a meeting who said, "I'm done. I'm out. I'm going off with Yoko and the Plastic Ono Band, and that's it." But they kept it secret for business reasons for a while. And then it was Paul McCartney who, when he put out his first solo album, included a kind of interview in the record sleeve saying, "We're broken up." So Paul took the hit in a certain way. And of course, very sadly, they feuded for a while and they wrote songs about each other that were kind of nasty. In British terms, they were taking the piss. They were insulting each other. And then their relationship got a lot better. And then, of course, John was killed in 1980. But it had been very up and down, their relationship. They were so close. There was no creative collaboration that was more important to popular culture after the war, and also one that was more complicated.
Complicated, to say the least. And somehow, reputationally, after their breakup, it was always Paul who was depicted as less cool, maybe less hip. Part of that was John Lennon doing that interview with Jan Wenner and the Rolling Stone establishment magazine, deciding that they loved John most of all. But how has that affected Paul over the years, where somehow he came off as less cool?
Well, you know the old saying that all happy families are alike and all unhappy families are like themselves each in their own way. And Lennon and McCartney loved each other like brothers, and they fought like brothers. And when they broke up, they broke up and argued publicly in the pages of Rolling Stone or in songs or in the rest. They did reconcile though. So Paul is left to struggle with that and struggle with that with historians and journalists and with himself. And he answers these questions, I think, truthfully, but as we all do from his particular point of view. And so it's just interesting to see somebody who was arguably one of the most famous people on the planet, still trying to sand the edges of this history. And you see it in his new book, The Lyrics, where he reverses the order of the byline, where it says now by Paul McCartney and John Lennon in songs that he wrote the dominant part of. And there'll be a new movie soon. It's a kind of remake of the old Let It Be documentary. It's called Get Back. And in this edit, you see the Beatles, I don't know, they get along a lot better than you remember. There's more brotherly love and collaboration than that old movie seems to suggest. It's all in the editing, and historians know that, and journalists know that too. It's what you include and what you don't include. And Paul wants his story told the way he saw it.
Look, you've interviewed God knows how many people, impressive people over the years, and been in the same room with all sorts of people. But Paul McCartney is a different type of character, a legend. What was it like for you to get this time with him, to be with him like this?
Well, it was very interesting because on the one hand, he's just about the most charming person you'd ever meet in your entire life. And on the other, he's very shrewd. You know, you'd have to be to get where he got. I just remember what the origins of Paul McCartney and John Lennon were. Paul McCartney is a working class kid from Liverpool who banged away on a guitar and within a very few years was the most famous person on earth, arguably, along with, I don't know, Muhammad Ali or a few other people and presidents and the like. And the path of the Beatles was something very short, relatively in historical terms, very short. We didn't really know who they were until 63 or so. And then they were gone by 1969, 1970. And yet we're still talking about them and how they got along, who said what to whom. I found it very interesting that he is so deeply concerned with the details of this history. And at this point, you've got a historian named Mark Lewison who's putting the attention to the history of the Beatles, which after all lasted a very short time, with the same energies that Robert Caro is doing with LBJ. It's that level of research. The obsession never quite fades away.